When comfort becomes the new addiction, have you noticed how modern life seems built to protect you from ever feeling discomfort? You can work from your bed, get meals without cooking, scroll endlessly instead of thinking, and silence your unease with 1,000 small hits of convenience. It's so subtle you barely notice, but the cost is enormous. The cost is your edge, your courage, your soul's growth. This is not about guilt, it's about awareness, because what most men call peace today is often sedation, what they call balance is often avoidance, and what they call freedom is in truth a padded cell lined with comfort. Carl Jung warned that the greatest threat to the modern man was not external chaos, but internal stagnation, the slow death that comes from never confronting pain, fear, or limitation. He understood that transformation always requires friction. Without it, you remain soft, spiritually, emotionally, and morally. So in this episode, we'll explore how comfort becomes the new addiction, why the psyche colludes with it, and what it means to reclaim discomfort as the gateway to vitality, meaning, and masculine strength. 1. What it actually is and what it isn't. Comfort is not the enemy. The desire for safety, warmth, and stability is ancient and deeply human. It becomes toxic only when it replaces challenge, when it becomes the unconscious goal of life rather than its byproduct. Psychologically, comfort addiction is the compulsion to avoid psychic tension, the inner friction that Jung said is essential for growth. The psyche wants equilibrium, but individuation, becoming whole, demands disequilibrium first. You cannot integrate what you never confront. Many men mistake comfort for contentment, but comfort is external, contentment is internal. Comfort comes from eliminating stress. Contentment comes from mastering it. In its healthy form, comfort is the rest after labor, the quiet after battle, the embrace after conflict. In its shadow form, it's the refusal to enter the battle at all. It's the life arranged to prevent all risk, all failure, all necessary pain. The man addicted to comfort does not look like an addict. He looks fine. He's stable, polite, and functional, but he lives without depth. His emotions are muted. His relationships are safe but dull, and his ambitions shrink to fit the radius of his convenience. He calls this peace, but it's not peace, it's paralysis. 2. How it appears in ordinary life. Comfort addiction shows up quietly. It hides behind good intentions and reasonable choices. You over-optimize your routine so nothing unexpected can happen. You check your phone the moment silence arrives. You choose entertainment over solitude, convenience over confrontation, the known over the meaningful. You tell yourself, I just need a break, when what you need is a breakthrough. In relationships, comfort addiction looks like emotional distance. You avoid difficult conversations because you don't want drama, but avoiding conflict kills intimacy. You keep things pleasant and wonder why they feel lifeless. At work, it looks like staying in the same role for years, resentful yet unwilling to risk growth. You dream of creative projects but never begin because beginnings threaten your comfort zone. Even spiritually, comfort addiction disguises itself as detachment, a half-awake calm that's really numbness. You meditate but not to awaken, to escape. You talk about flow but mean frictionless. There are 3 signs that comfort has become a cage. Disproportionate avoidance. You treat small discomforts as intolerable threats. Projection. You envy the vitality of those who take risks, calling them reckless to justify your own stagnation. Repetition. Your days are frictionless copies of each other, and despite everything being fine, you feel subtly anxious or dead inside. Jung would call this a loss of libido, not sexual energy, but the broader life energy that animates purpose and creativity. The psyche withdraws it from the outer world when the man stops moving toward meaning. 3. Origins and the boy who stayed. To understand why comfort seduces you, you must return to the boy who learned that stillness equals safety. Maybe he grew up in chaos, parents arguing, moods unpredictable, emotions unsafe. He learned early that his best strategy was to make himself small, invisible, compliant. Comfort was his reward for obedience. Maybe his father was distant or perfectionistic. Success brought love, mistakes brought shame. The boy learned that risk meant pain, so he built his identity around control and predictability. Maybe his mother overprotected him, rescuing him from every hardship. The boy never built calluses, he mistook fragility for sensitivity. These early conditions taught him an unconscious contract. If I stay comfortable, I stay safe. But adulthood demands that contract be broken, because the very strategy that kept you alive as a boy now keeps you half alive as a man. Comfort becomes the anesthetic that numbs the ache of unrealized potential. In Jungian terms, this is a refusal of individuation. The man avoids becoming himself because the process threatens the child's illusion of safety. The boy wanted peace. The man must want truth, and truth will always hurt before it heals. 4. Contact without collapse. Breaking comfort addiction doesn't mean throwing yourself into chaos. It means learning to stay present in discomfort long enough for it to teach you. Most men, when they feel inner tension, seek immediate relief, distraction, consumption, control. But tension is the birthplace of transformation. It's the crucible in which opposites meet, desire and fear, courage and doubt, life and death. Jung said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. Contacting discomfort consciously means allowing that pain to exist without interpreting it as failure. The anxiety before speaking your truth, the awkwardness of silence after an argument, the restlessness of being alone. These are not signs something is wrong. They're signs something real is happening. To hold discomfort is to meet your shadow, the parts of you that are undeveloped because they've never been tested. When you stay with them, they mature. When you run, they regress. Contact without collapse means don't dramatize pain, but don't avoid it either. Let it do its work. Every time you endure inner friction with awareness, you rewire the nervous system for strength. You expand the container of self. This is the essence of masculine alchemy, transforming raw discomfort into meaning. 5. Containment before expression. Discomfort becomes destructive when it spills out impulsively through anger, escapism, or constant complaining. Containment is the art of holding tension with dignity. In Jungian language, containment is the ego's task during individuation, to withstand the forces of the unconscious without being torn apart by them. It's not repression, it's responsibility. The man who can sit in discomfort without collapsing or exploding becomes unshakable. He feels pain, but doesn't project it onto others. He feels fear, but doesn't let it dictate his choices. He feels confusion, but continues to move toward clarity. Containment doesn't make you rigid. It makes you trustworthy. People sense when you can bear what they cannot. That's what real power feels like. Quiet gravity, not noise. When you can hold your own discomfort, you stop demanding that others manage it for you. That's emotional adulthood. That's freedom. 6. Consequences of avoidance versus integration. Avoiding discomfort seems harmless, but its cost compounds silently. A man who avoids discomfort avoids growth, and a man who avoids growth eventually avoids himself. You see it everywhere. The man who spends hours scrolling to avoid thinking. The man who works himself to exhaustion to avoid feeling. The man who sedates his loneliness with pornography, alcohol, or endless self-help routines that never demand real change. These are not moral failings. They're symptoms of spiritual fatigue, the psyche's attempt to stay asleep because waking hurts. But integration, choosing discomfort consciously, restores vitality. Every time you enter discomfort willingly, you send a message to your psyche, I am strong enough to live. When you integrate discomfort, fear becomes information, not paralysis. Rejection becomes refinement, not death. Pain becomes the sculptor of your character. Avoidance leads to numbness. Integration leads to aliveness. 7. Archetypal framing. King, warrior, magician, lover. Comfort addiction is the collective crisis of the modern masculine psyche because it disempowers every archetype. The king loses his sovereignty, he avoids decision, hides behind consensus, and abdicates responsibility. The warrior becomes soft. He trades challenge for comfort and forgets how to endure. The magician dulls his insight. Instead of transforming tension into wisdom, he anesthetizes it with endless consumption. The lover becomes sentimental, seeking comfort in affection instead of cultivating depth. The antidote is not brutality, it's reactivation. When you reawaken the archetypes within, each offers a medicine against comfort's poison. The king restores purpose. What am I building? The warrior restores endurance. What pain can I bear with honor? The magician restores awareness. What pattern am I repeating? The lover restores connection. What beauty am I avoiding by staying numb? Discomfort becomes sacred when it serves transformation. The man who understands this doesn't chase suffering, he respects it. He knows pain is not proof of weakness, it's the tuition of maturity. 8. Responsibility and witness. The battle against comfort addiction is not fought through isolation. Solitude builds strength, yes, but without witness the mind distorts itself. Every man needs a circle, and not a crowd, a circle. Men who challenge his comfort with truth, not flattery. Men who remind him that discipline is not punishment, but devotion. You become like the men you are honest with. Find those who will call you out gently but firmly, who won't let you sink into mediocrity disguised as peace. Brotherhood is not about cheerleading. It's about accountability through respect. And when you inevitably fall back into comfort, don't drown in shame. Comfort is seductive because it promises relief. What you must remember is that relief is not the same as healing. One numbs, the other strengthens. Your work is not to eliminate comfort, but to earn it through engagement, through labor, through courage. Comfort is meant to be visited, not worshipped. It is the hearth, not the home. You were not built for endless ease. You were built to bear the weight of becoming, to feel the tension between who you are and who you could be, and to stand in that fire without fleeing. Jung said, "Man needs difficulties. They are necessary for health." He was right, because a man without difficulty is not at peace. He is simply undeveloped. So the next time life asks more of you, do not retreat into the glow of convenience. Stand there, feel the unease, let it stretch you. The comfort you lose will return as confidence. The pain you endure will return as presence. There is no initiation without friction. No depth without discomfort, no freedom without discipline. Be the man who chooses growth over ease. Not perfectly, reliably. Begin.